Welcome back, esports fans. It's time. Cloud9 versus mYinsanity, North America versus Europe. I've spent a lot of time with the Cloud9 people, and you know them very well. You live in America, you cast them all the time. They were really confident going into this tournament. They did not expect to be in this loser bracket.
No, they definitely did not expect to be in the position that they are right now. One match away from being eliminated. The world champions. But Wolf, the story of this tournament has been how good both China and Korea are in both of our losers matches.
Yeah.
For this event in this group stage. It's Europe versus NA.
That's right, and it's been a really exciting one. What's going on behind us is actually NA is doing very well versus Dignitas. We'll see if Cloud9 can continue that trend. I highly favor them here versus mYinsanity, but we've seen upsets before. I wouldn't have thought that Naventic would actually be ahead versus Dignitas, but they are right now. These things happen, and these styles mesh differently. When you look at North America versus Europe, the two teams might play against each other differently than they would play against China, for example. So we have to take a lot of things into account here. But I think the sheer confidence of Cloud9, I think, will carry on. Even though they're in this loser bracket, they didn't expect to be, I think they're probably still feeling really confident going into this best of three.
You always have to consider, too, that in these losers match scenarios, the fact that you have a team who is already feeling both teams are feeling pretty downtrodden in that they're in this position almost about to be eliminated, but it's whoever can persevere through that better. And Cloud9 has so much experience with the international scene, not only with BlizzCon last year, but also in playing in Gold League. So I totally agree with you in that they are the favorites for this match.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9, the champions of the World BlizzCon champions, they were invited to China. They did not do as well, as China seems to be their weak point, but we'll see if they can take mYinsanity out here. Infernal Shrines will be Cloud9's veto, so Infernal Shrines being taken out. It's one of the maps we've seen the most today, and then Dragonshire eliminated for mYinsanity. And guess what? We get to cast Cursed Hollow. I've been looking forward to that, Gilly.
I know, you've been so excited, hoping for a Cursed Hollow game. Is this your first Cursed Hollow game?
This is my first Cursed Hollow game of the tournament, and if we get to Game 3, it'll be my first Towers of Doom as well. So very, very excited for that.
But they'll have Tomb of the Spider Queen in between, and that will be Cloud9's choice. Going to Cursed Hollow. It's a giant battleground, and with mYinsanity, it's the Lost Vikings I'll be keeping my eye out for.
Oh, that's right. I know you got to just cast a Lost Vikings game from EDG versus E-Star, and that was really fun. This map, of course, you don't get to control a Garden Tower, but, you know, the global presence of that, Abathur's something to look out for on this map as well. And Cloud9 has been showing us some very unique drafts, running Murky even earlier versus E-Star, not messing around when it comes to creativity. And this team is, you know, known for kind of cheesing and pulling out strats no one's seen before. A lot of people say that's how they destroyed DK last season, now known as TNL, at BlizzCon.
Yeah, Cloud9, known for doing cheesy strats, are also just very standard strategies, and being able to do those too. Very versatile Heroes of the Storm team. Dunk Train, the captain, also has a very impressive beard.
Yes, very impressive beard. As a guy who has a beard myself, I look up to him in that way.
Very much respectful of that beard.
Yeah. iDream going to be the key player listed here. He's the flex. He runs a lot of carry-type heroes, the ones that dive in. Greymane, Zeratul, Kerrigan. In the North America regional, he played a ton of Zeratul. We saw Zeratul really proliferate the American scene. It was still insanely popular, more than the other regions at NA Regionals. So something to keep in mind as we go into this. Zeratul being used a lot for vision, and we're seeing each region kind of builds him a little bit differently as well.
We've seen the Region Master into Vorpal Blade. Sometimes we see the Cleave build with Gathering Power too, although it seems like for this tournament, the Vorpal Blade has been more of the favorite build for him.
Yeah, even some of the Korean teams are actually running Vorpal Blade and not even going into Gathering Power at all. So pretty unique to how to this tournament, because in the past they normally do. Taking a look at these guys, Splendor, a great support player. Haswap's the guy who's known for being in esports for like 11, 12 years. He was a Warcraft 3 pro turned StarCraft 2 pro, now on the second most successful European team in the European Regional. Blumby, of course, the Warrior, a great Muradin, has made some excellent plays on ETC in this tournament alone as well. mYinsanity for me has been the Cinderella story for Europe, especially because they picked up Hasselhoff and Splendor in January. Splendor had played on the Na'Vi team that went to BlizzCon and did very well, but
they only picked up those players in January. They qualified for the EU regionals in the very final qualifiers. They barely even made it into regionals. And then out of nowhere, they took out Team Dignitas 2-0 in the group stage. They got first in their groups and then went to the semifinals and were able to beat Virtus Pro to qualify to come here.
Now, this map, we haven't seen a whole lot of it on this tournament. If you're new to Heroes of the Storm, you will basically channel and capture 3 tributes, and once you have them, you will get a curse, which then eliminates all your opponent's hit points on their minions down to 1, and also their towers, their forts, their keeps don't fire, so you get a lot of pushing power from that. It's time for the draft, Gilly. First ban will go to Cloud9.
Rotations were listed there as the most important for Cursed Hollow because there are a ridiculous amount of objectives on Cursed Hollow. There's 3 mercenary camps on each side, including 2 bosses.
Yes.
And then add to that the fact that there are 6 different places where the tributes can spawn.
Well, the Falstad ban here is going to eliminate that global presence for that kind of tributes, rotations you were talking about. He's going to be able to soak extra lanes, fly down. He might even be able to channel solo and fly to a team fight. Murden gets locked in here first for Cloud9. King Calf, a great Murden player. Now, going into mYinsanity's side, they will pick up Greymane Thrall. It's kind of been a trend in this tournament when these 3 heroes are available. They go to one or the other side. They're definitely like top 3, I'd say, in most of these drafts.
And Greymane and Thrall very prioritized in getting them together. Just the synergy between the 2 of them, Sundering able to knock people away and hopefully get them low enough that Greymane can go in with Go for the Throat and get the reset on that to be able to take out a couple of heroes very quickly in the fights. With Cloud9 now, they've got 2 more picks before we go into the next ban phase. Probably looking at some damage and potentially their support. A lot of times we see Abathur.
The Abathur. I was going to say, Abathur is something I would expect to see from Cloud9 on this map. They're not afraid to do something like this, use this global presence, has put his toxic nests around the map, soak a lane aggressively. That's something that Cloud9 is good at doing. They are good at these heroes of global presence. They're good at heroes like Murky for split pushing and his extra utility. They like to play these kind of weird, unique, hard to play, high skill cap heroes on these big maps.
Now, when I see an Abathur, I always wonder who is going to be the target for Ultimate Evolution. I'm wondering if they'll get Jaina here, if that's going to be what they're looking at. It might be too high up for them, but she is sort of the prime target you want. But with Tassadar and Abathur, now I'm thinking, are they going for the Illidan? Maybe even trying to get them to ban that.
Yeah, I think that's a ban bait here. I mean, if they don't ban it, Cloud9 can, of course, run that and do some serious disaster damage here. But mYinsanity, are they going to fall for it? Are they going to go for it? I think that it's just the safest ban you can make in this draft right now is to ban Illidan. Because there's too much synergy with Illidan already. Murden's one of the top counters to Illidan, and he's already taken for Cloud9. So they can't take that away there either. And if I'm mYinsανity here, I ban Illidan because I think it's safe. And it may be a bait, but they're going to take Zeratul away instead.
They think they've figured something out from Cloud9, not the Illidan, but Zeratul. Another hero who gets a lot of benefit being with Tassadar and Abathur, and especially because Tassadar, with being able to reveal the area around him with Oracle, he's a big hero that you want versus a Zeratul.
Ban coming out here for Cloud9. They already have Muradin ETC as banned. A Johanna ban here would be smart. They're going to ban the Lost Vikings. They're taking that away from Haswabs. Haswabs played the Lost Vikings several times, including on this map in the regional. So a smart choice here. Remove that goal, EXP soaking factor from Haswabs, who is a very good Lost Vikings player.
mYinsanity now with 2 more picks. They still need their support. They're going to grab Li Ming. So the resets galore for their team. And hey, Stitches to add to it.
Yeah, very true here. Illidan's still available for Cloud9. They have Tassadar, they have Abathur. It would be crazy if they went full dive here. Illidan, absolutely an opportunity versus this team. Stitches can be good against Illidan. We'll have to wait and see what Cloud9 wants to do with this. I haven't seen them build this comp yet in this tournament. It's been a while.
In all 3 of their games that they played versus Edward Gaming, by the way, they were running solo support Tassadar. So I'm wondering if this is again going to be something, especially since with Carapace, Abathur does still provide a little bit of support to the team.
Very true. I mean, he does kind of give you that shield slash heal, whichever way you want to look at it. So it is a bit of extra support. 25 seconds left to go here for Cloud9, so they really have to make a decision very soon on this. And, maybe if they have one hero in mind, it's best to lock it in to save that bonus pool. A shot of Arth here. giving it some thought.
Having his gloves on, as always.
That's what he does.
Signature Arthelon gloves. Vala is one choice.
And, you know, they could grab Jaina here. Abathur clone Jaina. They have mage damage. They have Ball's auto attack damage. Abathur's global presence plus his ability to clone Jaina. I'd like it. I think it would be a smart draft here. And I don't think they're going to run double support based on the fact that they have Abathur. And as you mentioned, they haven't been running anything but solo Tassadar.
Now, this is really weird. I'm wondering if they've got something different up their sleeve, or if it will be the Jaina for
They
the
got
clone.
3 seconds to
What
choose.
is going
2, 1, and it's Artanis! Oh, this is going to get crazy. Oh, I'm really excited for this.
Okay, we had Artanis yesterday. It was you and me that casted that game. It did not go so well for the team who drafted him, but they have shields for days for Artanis.
Yeah, Artanis is never going to die. You just leave him alone. He's going to be like running and swinging his side blades around trying to kill people. Everyone's just going to ignore him because there's no way he's going to die. For mYinsanity, they need to pick a support here. Uther can do well with Sitch's Leeming Saber, Greymane as well. Kharazim is not a bad choice here, and neither is, to be honest, Malfurion. I don't think we're going to be seeing a Morales in this comp, not on this map either. I think it's, I'm really leaning towards Uther, to be honest.
I'd be very scared to play Morales versus FaZe Prism.
Yeah.
But Kharazim, I like that choice too because of the double. He has escapes and there's a double warrior. So they could run the 7-sided strike instead.
Ooh, that's really smart.
And
that's exactly what they're going to do.
Nice.
Nice call, Gilly. And that's our draft here. You know, I think Cloud9, when I look at their comp, I trust them. You know, when they build comps like this, they make it work. And I really think that the comp that we have for mYinsanity is not bad. It's more standard. But I don't look at this draft and go, well, you know, Cloud9 won it. Like, there's no way that mYinsanity's comp can beat Cloud9's. I look at this and go, I trust in Cloud9's composition here. And I think that the world champions, the guys who hide strategies, the guys who have plans like this, know what they're doing.
And they know that now is the time to use it. This is their last chance to make it out of the group. They have to get past mYinsanity, who they themselves are known for their craziness in drafts, running things like Cho'Gall, lots of Lost Vikings, which is why we saw that ban. So this is it. This is the time. And by the way, in NA Regionals, they lost a game to Team Blaze with Artanis.
That's right. I remember that game, actually. It was a while back now, but still, they're trying it. They definitely have been experimenting with it. But the game is loaded. We're going into Cursed Hollow. Cloud9 versus mYinsanity. North America versus EU. Let's jump into game number 1. Top left, or blue side, I should say, is going to be Cloud9.
The battle begins.
And I'm not going to read off all their hero names because you guys already know who they're on, but they're North America.
5, 4.
And mYinsanity, their opponents in the red. Both teams having a tough time trying to make it out of this group with the strong Chinese teams in it, but they want to get another chance to do so versus E-Star.
And they want that rematch so badly. And, you know, of course, keep in mind, Arthelon is always going to be floating around the map. You know, he's going to be burrowing here and there. He's going to have that goal presence. Whenever someone jumps and tries to go for a 1v1 or starts trading, he can make that a 2v1, you know. Or if it's a two-man gank, he jumps on someone, he hats them, and it's a 2v2, essentially. Especially in the early game, he's very powerful.
Right. Artanis, we saw this in the last time we casted him. It takes him a little bit of ramp-up time, so we want to be sure that they're playing it pretty safely, but they do have people who can do that. They've got Vala, who has Vault, Tassadar, Dimensional Shift, and even King Caffeine showing the Dwarf Toss to be able to disengage if Maya starts to bring on that aggression.
Yeah, and you know, with the Marksman talent, it's the talent I love most on Artanis. When Artanis was first released, I was playing it always, and everyone's saying, no, it's not that good, it's not the best talent on him. But I think this map in particular, if you rotate a little bit, whenever you go to the tribute, you just grab some extra stacks. I think it's very powerful. And in the late game, you become this crazy force. Once you get charged, you can blow people up.
Yeah, they know that he needs to bring damage to the table. He has the potential to get reactive parry. An amateur opponent was the talent that we saw yesterday, but that's different because it was on Battlefield of Eternity and they wanted that extra damage versus non-heroic targets. I'm loving the season marks in myself as well.
Yeah, I think it's really smart. And if you can get on top of Li Ming, and you could, or if you solo Greymane in any case, like, you're just going to destroy them. There's no way if they fight without support. And if you get hatted as well, there's just absolutely no chance.
This is going to be the game of hooks, by the way, too, between FaZe Prism and the hook from Stitches.
Yeah, it's all about those grabs, those picks. King Caffeine looking for an opportunity down here, but it's not going to happen, I don't think. Very safe play right now from Thrall up in the top lane.
I was wondering if Arthalon was like actually outside of the gate versus the Stitches. There they found their potential, but Darkmok running back away, and iDream blade dashing to try to buy some time until Caffeine can help him get out of that situation. So good job disengaging by Nurok.
Yeah. He knew that was a potential problem for him. He was positioned aggressively in the lane to last hit, but he wasn't too far off. Like, notice the way he keeps the lane close to his tower so that when he gets that farm, he's not actually going to be sustaining any damage there, and he's free from ganks.
Observer showing that lethal alacrity, increasing the speed and range of Blade Dash as he throws it out. Throw some damage onto Nurok, even using FaZe Prism onto Splinter, but Caffeine just a little bit behind to try to get the body blocks for that first kill.
Yeah, just a little bit of damage done there. Now, Caffeine coming over here, zoning out a little bit. C9 in really good position to actually start channeling this tribute. K1 Pro coming down as well, doing a little bit of chunk damage there. The Hasselhoffs with that arrow. Dungtrain nearly gets it, but he gets hooked.
Prisms are there. iDream standing out as he can between the two of the warriors.
Oh no,
That's
you never want to die like this. And Caffeine dies as well. They died to magic missiles there as Tassadar, very rare circumstance, maybe just didn't see them coming in time to shield himself. He might have been on cooldown on both his shield and his phase prison, or excuse me, his phase shift. And look at that, chunking the tower down even further. It's nearly dead. mYinsanity taking about a half a level lead here. Getting closer and closer to 7, and they will have, of course, that tribute lead as well, making them more comfortable. Arthalon realizes he's in danger here. He's actually the danger ping on Darkmok comes down just to his team, letting him know, hey, you're in that bush. I know you want to soak some more, but it's time to back off.
The aggression from Mai was really good in that fight too, because they're up against Abathur, they're up against Artanis. They know Artanis at 13 and 16 is really where he finds the talents that he needs to start getting a lot of kills and be very aggressive. And similarly, at that point is when Abathur really turns on the split soak. So that's when they're really going to come online. And so if they can do a lot of damage, maybe get a curse, some bosses, just do irreparable damage before they get to that point, or at least enough that they can keep Abathur from really being able to split soak anywhere into the late game, that's what they're going to be looking at doing.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Watch out for this hook. Blumby trying to get into position. Caffeine always in position to stop this from happening. Hasselhoff's in a bad spot here. iDream was looking for him, and K1 Pro goes down as well. They're going to grab that first kill, and Splender's in trouble as well. He's stunned.
There's a blade dash, but good job, Darkmok, allowing Splendor to Radiant Dash to him, and he will be away only with a 1 kill, but Dungtrain will get the tribute.
Yep, he grabs that tribute, and all the while, don't forget that Arth Soak down bot. He's getting a ton of extra EXP for the team, tying the EXP up at 8 the levels, the EXP, whichever way you want to call it. It's, I guess, kind of a indicator of experience, the level there. But a very close game at this point, 1-1 in tributes. Neither team having what Artosis and I like to call curse point. You're not going to have that curse threat. The next tribute for both teams could be given away.
Now, that's always a very good feeling, especially knowing that there's always the potential to be up against a team who has heroic abilities before you do at a tribute fight. And when that's a curse point, you're forced to either just eat a curse, give it up, or get into a fight before you have heroic abilities. So neither of those teams will have that opportunity.
And this is one of those maps the objective will do basically a ton of damage structure-wise, even if the people on your team are not in the lanes because of how just the nature of how it works. So it's really, really important into going into even like the mid-game, how many structures you're going to have left, even on this huge map. All right, here we go. A ton of Toxic Nests here in position behind the tribute.
We've got the big slow on those two. It's not as much as it used to be, but still 40% for 3 seconds. Still very annoying if you hit those mines. Yeah,
if you Fade Prism someone into them as well, it could be a big problem. Blumby's going to be the target here. iDream doing as much damage as he can. Caffeine does get rooted, and iDream actually getting caught, and he's going to try to dash away, but you go back to where you started, so down he goes.
That's always the worst feeling, too. You're like, oh, I'm about to die, but I guess I'll just try to blade dash and maybe buy some time.
You know, one of my dreams, oh, hold that thought, see if Calf can get out of here. That he will, I think, actually, perhaps not. But House Swabs is on the chase. There's another Dwarf Toss. And Dunk Train comes up as well for some support, as well as the Abathur hat. Oh, the Force Wall doesn't stop them, but it's good enough.
It stops at least most of them for having to go around. They couldn't chase along with Thrall. And Abathur, meanwhile, in that amount of time, it was a long time that he was split pushing in the top. Both teams getting heroic abilities. It'll be Divine Palm for Karazim, Force Wall Ultimate Evolution, and Suppression Pulse is the choice for Artanis.
Yeah. What I was going to say about Artanis is I wish there was like a level 13 talent or something where you could actually just cancel your dash and just stop where you were. Like, because that's the funniest thing, because you use it sometimes to try to escape, and then you're like, well, I'm out for a second, but my team can't stun me to where I want to be safe.
Yeah, it's one of those, oh, okay. Well, hi, team. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, Strafe also going to be Vala's heroic ability. No Rain of Vengeance this time that we've seen.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot you can do to lock that down unless you get a good stun with Muradin, who didn't go Piercing Bolt, and maybe Force Wall could set that up. iDream is channeling here, but he's not going to get it. The slam will deny him. He's going to go ahead and channel once more. Again, all that Earthsoak bot is starting to add up.
Hook hits Caffeine, but he's still staying out, trying to give his teammate time. But instead, the Phase Prism pulls Plumby into the team. He's using Putrid Vial to try to get away and does get there.
Oh, big clone here for Arthlon onto Muradin. He's jumping right into the fray, doing a lot of damage, and CC, of course, it's not going to last, but there's a hook onto iDream, and there's that dash, and returning back to place. The clone will go down as well here, and maybe, just maybe, they can grab Dunk Train. There's a hat, there's a Force Wall, but Nurok will take him out, and that's Curse for mYinsanity.
That is a curse, and what can they do with it? By the way, in that time, oh, a huge hook onto Caffeine. It has Dwarf Toss and the Carapace to help him out. But yeah, there's a big mercenary camp in the bottom. They have a little bit of time before everyone is back out on the map for Cloud9. They're even body blocking King Caffeine, who is going to get assistance from Arthalon and the Symbiote. And this is time that he's buying where they're not throwing damage on the structure, but even so, they're going to turn around and be able to get that top fort.
Yeah, they certainly will, although Splendor may pay a little bit of his health for this aggression. Yeah, it wasted a lot of their curse time. 30 seconds still left on that. Darkmok pushing bot, and Arthalon had to move back mid because he was very vulnerable down there with the curse on. They're going to get this mid fort instead of taking top. The top lane is insanely pushed, though, and it's going to start taking a lot of damage, and they may rotate up to it in a few seconds here. Even this cannon tower going to go down in the mid lane. And 13 is up for mYinsanity as a result.
That's a giant wave up top and in mid. That's going to help Cloud9 get back to that 13 level 2. But in this time, Mai are going to grab a boss, and they can either push with that boss if they want, knowing that that fort is exposed, or use that time where their opponents are defending to get the second boss in the bottom.
Yeah, that's why I love this map so much. This decision-making that happens around the fact that there's two bosses on this map that are so far away from each other. They're like about two Spider Queen map links away from each other, okay? And if you make a decision like this, you have to really mean it. You have to commit to it, and Cloud9 will defend, and mYinsanity will double boss here, and it's very successful. It's going to create a lot of pressure, and it's going to guarantee them probably that next tribute as well.
I love that decision making for them too, because they knew that that fort was already so low that the boss was going to get it, and because they had taken out the bottom fort, this is a boss that will put pressure on the keep structures. So they can either push with it if they want, or like you mentioned, once a tribute pops up, they can go to that and already be back on the same amount of tributes as Cloud9.
Ooh, look at the position here for Bloomby. He's looking for a hook, and he knows they're going to come out to meet this boss. If anyone steps on the other side of the gate, he's going for it, but it's not going to happen. It looks like everyone's staying back behind that gate safe, but they're going to push for this. The tribute hasn't spawned yet, so they're going to get this wall down, and some of the cannon towers, at least probably both of them. A hook does go down there onto Dunk Train, but he's just easily able to dimensional shift away, but still this push continues. If they can get the well, that would even be a small break. There goes a Sundering, in fact. Ashley King Caffeine going to have to defensively use that avatar.
iDream used a Phase Prism to grab one of the members of Mai, but it didn't pay off for them as he nearly dies. Arthalon cloning Vala to help throw out more of their damage. Divine Palm should allow Nurak to get away. The Dwarf Toss came in, and this might be a mistake as the rest of the team turns.
Oh, King Caffeine is dead now. The clone is long dead as well for Arthlon, so this is a 5v3 fight. Should they commit? iDream is going to come up here, get shielded and had it as well, but he just doesn't have enough sustain. He's rooted here. He does dash away, but will come back to his death. And Dunk Train has to dimensional shift again away. Oh, he has fishing hook! Oh, down goes Fala. And this is going to be a keep. And both European teams dominating in their first games here. We saw on the other stream, actually it's the opposite. Naventic, both upsets are happening in this North America. Like Naventic was winning their first game. They were massively ahead, and now we're seeing North American team that was ahead is mYinsanity is actually, or the North American team that was favored. mYinsanity is now ahead of them. I don't know why it was so hard for me to get those words out of my mouth, but I did it.
It's been a day full of awesome games, that's why. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's mYinsanity who were the clear underdogs now winning this. They've got 16. They have 9 kills to 1. But we are almost to 16. That will help Cloud9 with the fights. They'll have the potential for split push, but at the same time, they have lost a keep pretty early on in the game. You know, they lost it right around 10 minutes. And now all of the forts are even remaining for mine.
The bot lane is always going to be pushed. There's always going to be vision down there, essentially, which is important for Cloud9's boss, of course. As you move around that, it's harder to actually stop players from going around that area without those minions for vision. And this game is by no means over, okay? But mYinsanity just, winning here in the early game into getting the faster 16, into getting that keep, is not what I expected to see. Cloud9, though, with a kind of unique comp, I'd have to say these Artanis plays, I mean, he hasn't been able to accomplish much in these fights.
He has Phase Bulwark, which helps with the ability damage. Leeming, Greymane, yes. Now he has Zealot Charge. It can be very tough for an Artanis to be able to get into a fight. It's pretty easy to kite him, but it's going to be less easy now, much harder with that Zealot Charge. He goes straight in for a Phase Prism, though, and the Suppression Pulse will follow. A
big Suppression Pulse. Also the Sundering that comes down, though. iDream going to have to dash away. It's going to take a lot of damage, but he has shields this time. K1 Pro doing a lot of damage with that strafe as well. Dark Mach looking for something from behind. He's already used his Sundering. iDream is going to be the first to fall in this fight. Dunk Train going to have to phase shift away, and the clone of Dunk Train as well. Not going to do much damage here. It's a Tassadar clone.
They're trying to give whatever shields they can to make this Artanis work, but losing Artanis yet again puts mye in a situation where they have the numbers advantage. There's a tribute up. There's the battleground is just painted red, and Abathur, who would like to be split soaking somewhere, has been trying to deal with the bottom pressure from the catapults, only just now going to start throwing Locust toward the top fort.
Okay, let's see if King Caffeine can get out of this one. He's gotten out of worse before, but I don't think he's going to get out of this one. There's so many mines around him, but he's got nowhere to run. Even with the hat, he will be killed. He did get that tribute, though, so that means they're not going to be in danger of being cursed again. So that's pretty important, and in fact, put some extra pressure on the next tribute for mYinsanity. Oh, look at all this split push pressure you were talking about. Arthlon's actually going to possibly knock down this fort. It's out of ammo.
King has been shown as he's going to start burrowing away, but that should be they're just going to rotate up for the boss, actually, as they know that there is a keep. It'll be pushing all the way to the keep, and after this is when the next boss will be available.
Exactly, and this is one of those bosses that's such a smart rotation, because the thing is they can rotate towards Abathur if he doesn't leave, but then when he does, you go into the boss right away, and you're going the same direction on the map, and this boss will likely give them a safer second tribute. It's not time yet, but the longer it lasts, that becomes possible, and this boss is going to help deny the boss of Cloud9 on blue side because it just spawned, but they have to deal with this boss first. And oh, look at this lucky tribute spawn as well for mYinsanity on their side of the map.
Yeah, they're heading for a boss, and they're like, okay, thank you. Random map generator will take a tribute as well.
Yep, Haswab's just going to channel that and head right over.
Cloud9 is coming down for the defense, though. They know that this is a boss that will go to core, and that pushes mYinsanity back to make sure they get the tribute. And Fishing Hook is fishing for a pick, but did not find it.
Yep. Looks like iDream is going to come up and help deal with that boss as well. Looks like mYinsanity wants to try to rush this down very, very quickly. They're poising around it. Some indecision, though, and they will back off. iDream is coming back down around the map. And this is a pretty risky move for mYinsanity. If they get a hook with Blumby and get a pick, that makes it different. But without that, I think this is just too risky.
it's still a win for them in that the boss did a lot more damage than it would have otherwise because it's just Abathur defending it. Artanis was there for a bit, but even he had to come down and help deal with the defense. And yeah, you can see the wall has been opened up for a future push to try to take out that keep too.
Yeah, the next boss is going to be very powerful. The push in the top lane is so great if they get the next tribute as well, which will be Curse. And that's his top is just so far pushed because of the boss. They're continuing to posture around Cloud9's boss. If they get a kill, they're going to hit 20. If they could just get a little bit more EXP, they could almost certainly force a fight here at the boss with 20. Oh, missing that hook there. Caffeine just barely dodging it. Tribute's going to be at top, so they will have to rotate away from this boss. This is a really important tribute.
This is a really tough spot for Cloud9 to be in. This tribute will give a curse to mYinsanity, although it's not the easiest thing in the world. A curse doesn't guarantee you a win. It will make it infinitely harder if they continue losing their keep, so they're trying to deny this, but they don't have 20.
Level 20 for Karazim is so important because basically his palms are free. Even if he misses one, he gets one right away, right afterwards, so they can dive a little bit harder. They're just going to let this curse go. They know without 20 they can't contest this. It's lose-lose, but they're not going to risk a team fight, not with the composition that they've built here.
At least they have everybody up to defend this, and because the lanes push toward your structures, it's a little bit safer to soak toward 20 at least. So silver linings, Wolf.
Yeah, and this next boss will be taken from mYinsanity. That's the advantage they're going to take from this. They're not going to push this anymore, but this boss will go to core, and Cloud9 does not want them to have it. They're going to posture around trying to kind of scare them off of it. Caffeine does jump in. They're going to do more than scare. They're going to try to commit to denying this.
There was a suppression pulse. We have a double Tassadar once again, but the Sundering is going to take one of those away. K1 Pro coming in with the flanks, doing what K1 Pro loves to do. The boss is grabbed by mYinsanity. They're trying to at least win the fight, take out enough members from mYinsanity that they can't push along with it.
mYinsanity's Hasselhoffs is doing so much damage. Blumby will go down. Hasselhoff's going to go ahead and teleport away. King Caffeine's the next to fall. iDream, can he carry the rest of this fight? Nurok just jumping away as well. And that's the kill on Dunk Train once more, and iDream will be killed as well. And this may just simply be game, Gilly, with the boss pushing core. Curse just finished, but all the lanes are pushed with this as well.
K1 Pro is going to kill Thrall, at least, but yeah, this is a boss that the shields are already down, and mYinsanity have just taken game number 1 off of the 2015 Heroes of the Storm World Champions. They're one game away from eliminating Cloud9 from the tournament.
GG is called here from mYinsanity players as Cloud9 is defeated in this first game. You know, upsets in both North America versus Europe games. Really interesting to see the confidence from Cloud9 in this tournament. Talking to them, you know, hearing their interviews, they were insanely confident about defeating China. They lost to China. Now mYinsanity, one of the underdogs in this tournament, just took that first game. And I have to bring this back to the iDream play on Artanis. It's not that he played Artanis poorly, but I felt like they were really reaching there. They were cloning Tassadar to give him shields plus hat, and I mean, the idea is there. Like, if you're theory crafting, you could say, oh, he's going to have like so many shields, he just basically can't be killed, he's going to carry the team, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, both times we've seen Artanis now, you lose so much early on, and they needed to not do that to get value out of Abathur too. They wanted to not lose too many structures so that once he gets to the later stages of the game, he can start putting throwing his locust toward the keeps. But they had lost so much by that point that he was really just on damage control for mercenaries, especially once they lost the keep in that bottom lane.
Yeah, if you look at the minimap during these highlights, you'll see Arthlon is basically, you know, once we get towards this middle part of the game, like we're at level 16 now, he's always just kind of sitting behind a wall, stopping pushes. And every time iDream came in, everyone split against him, burst him down, they ignored the Tassadar clone, and they just killed him. And if they didn't kill him, he wasn't able to do enough damage. He didn't have enough support. They weren't able to get this boss denied, and that was the last nail in the coffin in this game.
Cloud9 gave a lot of very highly prioritized picks to mYinsanity too. They had Li Ming, they had Greymane, they had Thrall. They had a composition they thought would work versus that with the pocket pick of Artanis, but now I'm wondering if we're going to see them draft a lot more standard in the next game.
I would think so. I just really can't imagine they're going to try something this crazy again. We have seen some pretty weird picks out of Cloud9 in the past. Murky, that kind of cheese that they did against DK. They played Murky earlier today. It's worked out for them decently well. And even the Murky game that didn't work for them earlier today still showed, you know, a lot of potential, I feel like, whereas this, I didn't see the potential. I was like, okay, I can theory craft it, I can argue for it, and I can understand why they did it, and they wouldn't do it on match point, when they're actually out, their tournament life's on the line in this loser match if they didn't have a reason for it. So I trust them, and I even said in the draft I trust them, but in the execution I just didn't see it. It just didn't look good to me.
That's the kind of thing that you see in these series anyway, is if you're going to try something like that, it's in the first game. If you lose it, no big deal. You have a little bit harder to climb back into this, so they have to play very perfectly from now on. But Tomb of the Spider Queen is their battleground, so at least they'll be going somewhere where they feel very comfortable.
Absolutely. This is the map where, basically ganking is king, wave clear is so important, just so you can grab those gems. Vision is also important, of course, to counter the ganking. All right, mYinsanity will have first ban in Game 2. They're going to ban Thrall immediately. Like within 3 seconds of that, they had this plan. They knew what they wanted to do already.
Thrall has been popular throughout the tournament, and mYinsanity with a lot of focus on that. He was the they were second pick last game, so they grabbed him right away with Greymane. Cloud9 now have a ban. Zagara was what I was thinking would be, and that will be who they choose to take out.
Well, Zul is going to be the pick here for mYinsanity. He's going to be able to push these lanes so hard. He's got such quick wave clear. He can leave his skeletons in the lane, grab the gems, and then run to the next lane, grab those. Zul's kind of like a thief or a pickpocket. He's just running from one lane to the other, stealing all the EXP. And he's just so good at pushing. By the time his skeletons are dead, he's spawning new ones in the next lane on this tiny, tiny map. So his rotations here, just between lane to lane, are very powerful. Now, Cloud9 may look to grab Muradin here, I was going to say, because it's still available, and they've been loving him, and they're going to get Falstad this time.
In seeing that Thrall was banned and banning Zagara, they had to know that mYinsanity was very likely to go for that Zul. So I think that they're okay with where this has gone. They get Falstad. K1 Pro is known for his Falstad play. Muradin, they very much prioritize having this warrior, both in Enter the Storm as well as at the North American Regionals. They're okay with this trade.
Yeah, I think this does make sense. The question is now, what does mYinsanity grab here? They're going to grab Li Ming, who is very powerful with some of the comps that they can build later on. The problem with Li Ming on this map is somebody that's just blocked by minions a lot of the time, and you need to have vision for her if she's going to be dropping orbs into those vents. ETC is going to be the tank they bring up, so Lumbee, a great ETC, has won so many games for his team, including in Katowice with Mosh Pit.
My also has Li Ming and Zul, that scary kid in a candy store composition that we've been talking about too. But now with those 3 picks, we're going into the next phase of the bans. Cloud9 they can't actually be able to ban a warrior versus mYinsanity. I mean, they could, but my already picked up ETC, so I like that they grabbed that too, knowing that Cloud9 got Muradin.
Yeah, Cloud9 really. There's no easy ban here. A support ban could be smart, but it's hard to judge what mYinsanity is going to ban. Whenever you have a comp like this and there's viable supports because you don't have a support either, there's no clear ban here, there's no best ban, and this comp has so many different things it can lead into, so you don't really have a ban where you go, okay, this is the safe pick. It's really kind of a team preference in this case.
They could try Uther if they don't want him themselves, because ETC with the Mosh Pit, the Divine Shield on it, that might be a scare for them.
Yeah, I think that's like as safe as you can get. I mean, you don't even know that mYinsanity wants to do that, but Uther also synergizes well with Zul when he goes in for Poison Nova. If he gets stunned while he's in there, then you can save him in that way. Now, mYinsanity's ban here could also backwards be on a support since Uther was taken out. If they want to take that away from them, they don't have their own yet. But if they know what support they want, and it's not a normal one, they could do that.
I like more damage of some kind.
Like maybe even banning a Sonya here would be good.
Sonya, definitely, because it's iDream, so they have to guess who iDream is going to be playing. It's some sort of frontline likely hero. Oh, also Zeratul.
Zeratul, very powerful versus Li Ming. Can harass her in lane and also come and gank her sometimes. If she gets caught out, can be disastrous. So I guess this is kind of a protection pick for Li Ming. Zeratul is also so much vision on the map because he's cloaked, he's roaming around, he's always in between the lanes. And you get so much regen master with him, which is how most people like to build him on this map.
Plus Zeratul, they have potential for Void Prison and the Mighty Gust. That could be they could cause a lot of problems for mYinsanity. And like you mentioned too, Li Ming would have to play a lot safer with potentially the Calamity build too, if that's not something that they were wanting to do. Greymane though is going to add more burst damage. Tyrande for the follow-up stuns for Muradin. Miranda has arrived.
It's happening. And Greymane can also solo lane if need be. Falstad can fly between lanes, so the soak potential here for Cloud9 is obviously quite strong. They're not worried about that. They're not using Sonya yet. They may add her, of course, in later as their final pick potentially. mYinsanity already has massive wave clear. They have setup. They need support. They're going to go Rhaegar and then Kerrigan.
Oh, man!
Kerrigan's so popular today. And the funny thing is, like, she's popped up. Everyone's been kind of secretly figuring out that she's good. She hasn't really been changed in a long time. It's not like she got buffed in the last patch or something. People are just starting to figure it out. It's really smart. It's kind of a meta thing that's creeped up into this tournament.
The metas of heroes and how they go in and out of style is so much like fashion.
It really is.
It's like, oh, hey, did you guys know that we have this hero called Kerrigan, who's been around for forever, but Tomb of the Spider Queen was her map when she was at the height of her power. That's
right, because of her ability to roam and gank on this map, because she just simply has so much CC. You bring her in, she does a decent amount of damage, you blow somebody up, then by the time your cooldowns are up, you're in the next lane, you can do the same. You put a lot of pressure. Tastar is going to be the secondary support here for Cloud9, so they're running Tyrande and Tastar this time. And with this, they can really keep Greymane alive. You can set up a lot of shields with Tassadar as well before these fights occur.
This may have been a situation where they were waiting and potentially not thinking of doing Tassadar, but Kerrigan forced their hand in that. They need the vision, but they also need help with the supporting too. Tyrande is going to be a constant target for Kerrigan because she doesn't have escape. We may even see Sprint at 13 if she's getting focused a lot, but what I love from mYinsanity in pairing Kerrigan and Zul together, first of all, Li Ming has nothing to worry about as long as her positioning is good. Kerrigan and Zul are going to cause so many problems in the front that she's very likely not going to be the focus unless we see K1 Pro going for some Falstad flanks. But also, who do you go after? Kerrigan's there with the combos and the Maelstrom, but then Zul with Poison Nova.
Yeah, and not only that, but he can, of course, drop some attack speed slows, and I mean, he's got a ton of wave clear. He's going to be roaming around the map. I think it's important that Cloud9 stops that EXP lead from flowing in the early game. Map number 2 is loaded, ladies and gentlemen. Can Cloud9 come back here? Their last game, their tournament life on the line here versus mYinsanity. Or is mYinsanity going to 2-0 them and knock one of our North American teams out of this tournament? Here we go, Cloud9 on the blue side. It's going to be Arthalon on Tyrande and Dunk Train on Tassadar. Everything else, of course, normal. K1 Pro and famous Falstad.
Dream playing Greymane and King Caffeine on the Muradin. Blumby playing ETC. Hasuav's on Li Ming. Darkmok will be playing that Kerrigan.
I'm not surprised. Darkmok actually really great at these melee assassin heroes.
Splendor, the support player, on Rhaegar, and finally Nurok will be on Zul.
That's right.
So the early Tomb of the Spider Queen, all mid style from both, but remember, there's a Kerrigan, such a good 1v1 hero, and they have a lot of follow-up if they see it, and in fact, they're going for it.
You know, the other thing that they have here with ETC is just the setups for Kerrigan. A ton of Luna Flare and a ton of damage being put onto Bloomby though, as well as the Hunter's Mark. So he is actually killed there. He got a bit aggressive. Darkmok actually soaking the bot lane during all of this, keeping the EXP even. And here comes Zul up to the top as well. So Skeletons are going to keep the pressure on here. So that first blood for Cloud9, not a massive advantage for them, but still important and a nice pick-off.
It's a nice thing that Cloud9 have the Muradin Tyrande versus the Kerrigan because they also have the potential to get those early game picks, as we just saw. And with Hunter's Mark, anybody can be a target for that, even somebody like your warrior in ETC.
Yeah. You see here the Skeletons push the lane. He rotates down to mid. He's going to get some Skeletons here as well. And Zul is such a versatile hero on this map because there's no distance between the lanes. The distance between the lanes is like the cooldowns on his abilities. Very short.
Constantly keep the Skeletons flowing. Dream in Worgen form does disengage back to his gate, but the threat is always there from these rotations for both teams.
Yep. Just looking at how the lanes are set up here, we actually had Dunk Train in the bot solo. He's got such good wave clear with the Psystorms. And versus Kerrigan, he's never going to be afraid, as Darkmok just kind of sits down here and soaks. And another funny thing about Kerrigan is, with the exception of when MVP Black played earlier, she hasn't been used as much as a ganker, so much as just a destroyer of minions while building shields, so she rotates up once she has those shields, which is really cool to see, actually.
I like Kerrigan, destroyer of minions.
Yes.
Official new title.
She just kills minions so quickly, and she builds shields off of that so she can kill a wave and then rotate up, which is smart on this map, which is not as much like always just ganking and looking for these picks.
And once she gets clean kill to add to siphoning impact, she just grabs. Hold that thought as Blumby, once again with the Hunter's Mark, still making it away. And Greymane trying to chase him down. Caffeine has to Dwarf Toss away.
They went too far there, I think. You know, that was just way too greedy. That was way too aggressive. And, I mean, looking at the setup here for these two teams, when you do dive onto Bloomby like this, it worked out last time, but he was just web spreader position the second time around. We're going to have another fight here. King Caffeine's going to get rooted. He jumps away, actually, instead escapes that. And that was a close call. If he had actually got locked down there, that could have been at the end of him. Gems very even for these two teams. Neither have attempted a turn-in yet, or rather have succeeded in turn-ins.
Right, when you look at Cloud9's composition, they are going to be so good at denying the turn-ins. Both Tastar and Tyrande excel at it. They give vision too, and we even still see Pierce as the pick without Empower because of how powerful it is to not be able, for your opponents not to be able to body block those Sentinels. Bone Prison has hit Arthalon, and Kerrigan jumping in. Nurok still is pretty low, but he is going to be able to just barely get away with those 17 gems.
He shields himself, very nicely done, and now this is a tough fight for Cloud9 to take, even though K1 Pro is at full health. He's not able to do anything there. They're going to turn in 4 gems here. That's all they can get for now. And very careful play from mYinsanity. Nice disengages. Bloomby always making the setups here, always looking for these aggressive power slides. And even though they're not getting kills off of it, they're always forcing Cloud9 away. And usually King Caffeine's the one who's kind of at the front who has to back off.
Yeah, you see that a lot from a lot of teams is they have their warriors sitting in the vents constantly around some of the turn-in points. I like that they're keeping their focus on that top area, knowing it's just Kerrigan in the bottom, and Tassadar can always use Oracle to check if they're getting a turn-in, and very easily, as I mentioned before, throw out a Psionic Storm to stop that. And with that, Cloud9 do secure the first Webweaver phase.
It looks like actually Nurok has taken some damage in the bot lane, being forced out here, and there was a rotation down by King Caffeine and Arthalon to perhaps try to stun him and grab a kill, but he's very wise to it. And the setup here, of course, with the Webweavers coming out, it's a very strong way to push the top lane here. The mid lane is just kind of going to be a clear as they push it forward. And I like that they leave Tastar solo in the bot. He's going to take up all that extra EXP. He's going to push that Webweaver very quickly.
It's also a chance for you to get more gems as the Webweavers push on. So keeping somebody in the lanes, not only are you keeping up the tri-lane soak, but looking toward the next turn in phase 2, while also maybe even taking out a couple of towers and starting to get an experience lead.
Ooh, Nurok getting stunned here, and also Lunar Flared. Should be safe, but it's a very scary moment as K1 Pro moves up as well, and iDream is going to come down. They're going to knock down these 2 towers. The last of the hit points on the Webweaver to the bot is running out here, and the mid one is dead as well. So finally a cleanup here for mYinsanity. And if you look at the EXP, mYinsanity split against this very well. They didn't take very much damage at all, and in fact have a slight EXP lead.
Their defense was very solid. The fact that as soon as they saw the Webweavers were coming out, good cleanse to allow Blumby to get away, but as they saw that the Webweavers were coming out, they pushed all of the lanes far forward, and that was a little bit of extra time that Cloud9 just had to clear out those waves with the Webweavers, allowing mYinsanity to whittle down all of the Webweavers in the lanes.
Yeah, really the only Webweaver that was set up to do a decent push was the bot one, and that's where King Caffeine, or excuse me, Dunk Train was pushing a little bit hard there. But when you have Zool on your team, it's hard to be the team that has the waves ahead because he just clears them so well and keeps them pushed. And the game is so close right now between these two teams in EXP. No real lead. Over 100 gems, though, for mYinsanity, so losing a team fight here would be disastrous. And for that reason, before 10, they're not going to commit to a fight at the turn-in. There's no reason to. Ooh, Darkmok doing a sneaky, greedy turn-in, and he's going to get it. 37 gems go in. Duck Train realizes this, tries to come for the deny, and will have to escape.
Good. Yeah, the dimensional shift was perfectly timed to deny the combo of Kerrigan. So they're not going to give any experience for free and allow Mighty to have a power play to turn in more of the gems. They got a lot off of Kerrigan, which is nice because she wants to be aggressive. You can't, you know, feels scared to do that when she has so many gems, but they still have a few more to get before they can get web weavers of their own.
Very true. Keep a close eye on that EXP bar to the top. Whoever gets level 10 first will have a small advantage in these fights. Splendor is trying to do a greedy turn in here as well. He's really committing to it, but he was actually positioned pretty well at the back, so Cloud9 being forced to really go deep to deny that. They have a comp that allows for that, but it looks like mYinsanity knows this isn't reasonable. They're going to back off, try to soak for 10. Both teams going to hit 10 at almost the exact same second here.
Skeletal Mages is what Zool grabbed for more control, allowing for a lot of slows. If Kerrigan wants to start going in, they're focusing on Dunk Train, and the Bone Prison hits Darkmock jumping over the gate with the Maelstrom, and that means Tassadar is eliminated.
Oh, and look at these mages as well. iDream's not going to be able to do much here. He might not even escape. They actually have to use Tyranda's Heroic to actually disengage here. A big gust, but it looks like mYinsanity should be able to find their way out of this base. Nice power slide, avoiding that Lunar Flare.
That could have been disastrous, but they made it work. Even the Mighty Gust, they tried to be able to get somebody. Now the combo onto iDream, the Greymane hopping away as he will do.
And the Web Weavers are up. That's the big win here for mYinsanity. Yeah, they did have that sick kill with Maelstrom, but they get the Web Weaver turn in. And this is going to actually clear out their top lane. The mid lane is going to be pushed really hard. The bot lane even pushed nearly down to that healing fountain. And they're just going to further their EXP lead here. They still have a ton of gems. They have enough for another turn in already because they saved up so many.
mYinsanity is playing this very, very well. They're getting a lot more value out of their Web Weavers than Cloud9 did. They're taking out towers, they've gotten them to the bottom, they've rotated to mid and are doing that, and that means nobody is defending the top Web Weaver, which should do the same. And like you mentioned, they can set up positionally to turn in the next gems as soon as these Web Weavers conclude, and it'll force Cloud9 to come in and maybe get into a fight that is riskier than they want to take.
I really like the Skeletal Mages because mYinsanity has built a comp that's so much surrounded around, centralized around, oh, big dust here. Thought we were going to have a fight. Centralized around CC, essentially. Big jumps forward here onto King Caffeine, but Darkmock's going to pay for it with his life. Way too greedy to be aggressive there. But with all this CC for mYinsanity, when you have the Frost Mage, or excuse me, the Skeletal Mages down, you just add to that. You make it harder to escape, and you can get pickoffs of 2 or 3, and then win fights where you're up 2 or 3 heroes.
Right, when you have a Kerrigan on your team, you want to give her things that enable her to build a lot of shields, assimilation shields off of Maelstrom too. Like, yes, it does a bunch of damage, but you also want to use that to get assimilation shields so you can keep fighting after that. And the Skeletal Mages make it difficult for Cloud9 to spread out and get into the place where they want to positionally, and they might be able to catch a lot of members and get those assimilation shields.
Blumby tries to go over here and deny the turn-in. He will be successful half of the way. iDream did get his gems in, but they don't have enough. 9 coming in. Oh, King Caffeine just one short on this turn-in. They're 54-55. And that's just a huge sad feeling here. All right, Blumby going really deep onto iDream right now. King Caffeine in perfect position, and Arthlon's going to try to get a turn in. Let's see if mYinsanity can get a kill here to make it worth it.
Yeah, they can't lose people, or all of those gems being turned in will be for nothing. iDream dodges the combo and knows that's a perfect time to re-engage. The Ancestral Healing has to be used onto Kerrigan, who goes in with the Maelstrom.
A huge mosh down as well on 3 members here, and Greymane will be the first to die. Blumby very low, but still moving forward aggressively here. Dunk Train and Arthlon going to retreat, and K1 Pro will do the same. Darkmock jumps in on the chase here, and K1 Pro very low on mana. He's got 1 barrel left, but will he actually be able to save? King Caffeine trying to save him, but it's not going to be successful. And just like the last Web Weaver push with 2 down, this isn't going to be as effective as the Web Weavers were seeing from mYinsanity.
Right, it's a big waste of those gems. They'll clear this up quickly. Mid clearing Tyrande, at least trying to help along the push of the bottom Web Weaver where they can, the strongest one. But now, knowing that they need to be able, they need to get back out of this as the rotation will be coming in.
Yep. And this will give Cloud9 13, so they're no longer going to be a talent tier down. And it's something to keep in mind as, you know, They were playing from behind for most of this game. The gem count, though, for mYinsanity is still so high. And one thing I want to point about mYinsanity, with the comp that they have, with all the CC that they have, they're not as interested in turning in. They only want to turn in when it matters, when they have the lanes pushed. That's why they're getting more value on their web weavers. And they're so good at denying turn-ins with all their CC. Yeah, they don't have a lot of deny poke. They don't have cocktails. They don't have storm, but they're just using, you know, big power slides and grasps.
Brute force.
Exactly. And it's cool because when you deny like that, sometimes you get a kill.
That is pretty cool. We've got Zool also going for the raised skeleton build. Sometimes you'll see, usually the raised skeletons at 4 and 7, but sometimes you'll still see Giant's Curse and then amplify damage at 16. But going for the full raised skeleton build just helps along that plan that you've talked about, because it makes it a lot. Their lanes are always way more pushed.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people say wave clear on this map is important because you get gems with it. But I mean, that's true. But it's more important for it to have your web weavers pushed in a lane that's pushed. Like, that's what matters, is how much damage your web weavers get done. It's one of the weaker objectives in the game. Nurok, by the way, has enough for a turn-in alone, so that's something he might sneak off and do at some point. And they're just disengaging here. But Cloud9 looking for picks here. Don't want to go over-aggressive. They don't even have enough, actually, for a full turn-in, so it's not worth committing here. To try to get like all their gems in. They only have 17 currently.
Right, they know that they are getting behind in experience though, and there is a power slide into the face mount, forcing out the avatar, and Zool goes down. The ancestral healing doesn't connect.
Oh, very big mosh pit here though. 1 kill already, and look at this, the follow-up, so much damage onto K1 Pro. He's gonna have to get out of there. Junk Train gonna use Force Wall to help zone, and Caffeine's also very low. That was a great Force Wall. Without that, that would have been surely at least 2 kills. And mYinsanity not going to get the better trade here, but they force away many of those members. Darkmog gets killed. The second Ancestral is canceled.
That's a lot of gems they just dropped. K1 Pro going after Hasuap, slowed by the Hammerang. Gets into heal range for Splendor, but oh, the Psionic Storm from Dunk Train. Yet again, another support kill.
Now, very good fights here for Cloud9. They're starting to actually have success with their comp. But the elephant in the room here is that mYinsanity still has 83 gems. Despite the fact that they lost like 40 gems or so, I think, after that fight, they still have 83. So that pressure is still on Cloud9. This fight was one of many fights they're going to have to win to come back in this game. It puts them closer to 16, though, and when it comes to EXP right now, they are technically ahead.
If they get to 16, they have a break, though, as mYinsanity won't want to fight into that 16 and may just play more passively, soaking in the lanes. And that at least would be a win and an amount of time where Cloud9 can push their own lanes and get some of the gems, because they're not super far off. They're about halfway, a little more than halfway of getting yet another turn in.
Yeah. The bot fort, by the way, very low for mYinsanity. No forts killed yet in this game.
That's crazy, especially with that many turn-ins that have happened.
Exactly. We're nearly at 15 minutes. And only 1 turn-in for mYinsanity. I talked about how they want to make their turn-ins worth it, but the other thing too is whenever they do think it's worth it and they try to turn in, the poke comp that Cloud9 has is just so good at denying, so they just have all these gems they're carrying, but you can never actually fully turn in.
They definitely have been defending the turn-ins of Cloud9 really well, getting kills right as the turn-in starts so that there's not as many people. And speaking of kills, Falstad in trouble. Maelstrom is used, and that is 42 seconds without the bird.
Splendor is going to go down, though. Hasuap's got a reset, but look at iDream in here in the position that he's in, blocking all that damage, but now he's going to absorb it and die. King Caffeine actually got stuck on the wrong side of that. A big Dunk Train phase shift to try to escape. King Caffeine can absorb as many missiles as he can, but he may be killed here as well. 2 kills already for mYinsanity, and this will guarantee a turn-in.
Dwarf Toss, very necessary in getting away, knowing that the Bone Prison is coming, and the Sentinel does not stop Nurok, but a Psionic Storm just in the nick of time will stop it for now.
Oh, look at this. Darkmok coming in at the front, and this is bad for Arthlon. He may actually end up being killed here. King Caffeine cannot save him here. Looks like he'll save himself. Darkmok going to grab the kill onto Dunk Train instead, and the Web Weavers are descending.
And just as they were almost getting Greymane back up, they've lost Tassadar, and finally the turn-in that gets rid of so many of those gems from mYinsanity. And with all of the towers that they got in the last turn-in phase, this is going to be pressure on all 3 of the forts.
That's right, and they just have such a great pushing comp with this Zool. I want to point out he also has vulnerability now at 16 for his Bone Prison, so he can do so much damage to any single target that gets locked down. And it looks like that target most of the time is when Arthalon. Once they kill Arthalon, they just kind of completely start to turn the fight. And King Caffeine can't do much as a tank here to try to stop these pushes.
The Dwarf Toss was already used. They forced the Avatar to come out for Muradin, and that does keep him alive. Blumby pretty far up there is going to get the Ancestral Healing. They're going to try to turn this around.
Looks like they may be able to. Force Wall comes up here. King Caffeine, again, having to Dwarf Toss away. He's always in perfect position to stop the damage, but it's not. It's funny because he has to use it himself and always in a defensive position. He's never able to do a lot for his team otherwise. He's never getting the Stormbolt that gets a kill, you know what I mean? So the engages that we're seeing from mYinsanity are always better because they have a comp that allows for that. Look at this bot push getting all the way to those towers, and level 18 halfway here from mYinsanity, getting closer and closer to 20, and it's 6 forts, or 3 forts, 3 keeps, 6 to 3 main structures here from mYinsanity.
That's why we saw Cloud9 try so much to stop that turn, and they knew because of how much push that mYinsanity have and how much damage they got with the last Webweaver phase, that they were going to get into a situation where they lose potentially all the forts at once, which is exactly what happened to them. So now where it was very close, where they all had their structures up, now there's a full level lead for mYinsanity, and they're going to try not only to get another turn-in phase and at least get those gems off of them so they can get into more of the fights, but also to get their Storm Talents well ahead of Cloud9.
Darkmok gets a turn-in here, and they are actually just 1 gem away from their own turn-in right now. So they're, I mean, if they get one more, that might actually just be lights out considering their advantage in EXP right now. Arthalon's going to go for a turn-in. They almost have a turn-in themselves, like 43 of 60. I dream it's not going to be enough, though. I'm going to be at 55. And it looks like mYinsanity may try to engage heavy on this. They don't have to, though. There's 6 structures to 3 right now. This turn-in, this Webweaver push from Cloud9 won't end them. They're not too worried about it. Just poking a little bit safely.
The problem is that the person who needs to turn in was King Caffeine, who was the person who was on guard duty to stop the rest of them, to stop mYinsanity from stopping the turn-in. But they do get that. They are going to relieve the pressure on their lanes. We'll see how much they can get done. A lot of forts very low in health for mYinsanity.
That's true. And when you look at the bot lane, that Webweaver is basically useless. It's all the way actually back at home, essentially clearing the lane, as you mentioned, on cleanup duty. But they can try to make something work here. If they get this mid fort, that would be awesome. They're going to get the top one for sure, but we'll see if they can get the middle one. King Caffeine up here very aggressively up in the front. Dunk Train taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to phase shift away. Haswabs dodges that Stormbolt. Here comes Darkmok onto King Caffeine.
The Skeletal Mages and then the Earth Grass Totem made it so King Caffeine was just trudging through sludge, could not get back to his team. That's a great kill to get to be able to stop the rest of this aggression from the Webweavers. Yes, they did lose a fort. I don't know, I think they were able to save the top fort. It's very, very low though, but they did still save 2 of their forts, which means they didn't lose too much experience to Cloud9 in that phase.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty solid defense here. Of course, the top and bot forts are very, very low. The bot Webweaver basically didn't do anything here. It basically might as well not have even existed. Darkmok's going to go in here onto Dunk Train. Phase shift is on cooldown, and down he goes. And another huge 55-second death timer, and they hit 20 from that kill.
They get 20, and Bone Spear is ready. Zool did get amplified damage. That's like having your own Lunar Flare and Hunter's Mark on their side, because all of a sudden, as long as the Bone Prison hits, then they have the vulnerability from that. mYinsanity using this time, this advantage in numbers and in the amount of people, or in the levels they have to go after the boss.
Yeah, this is really smart for mYinsanity. Very difficult for Cloud9 to disengage, not disengage, but to deny this. As Sentinel comes in, are they going to try to go for this? Looks like King Caffeine was thinking about it, but I think it's just way too risky. Not a good choice. K1 Pro is actually soaking in the mid lane, trying to get them 20, which is really important, but they're gonna have to defend this boss now. And a turn-in is going to come as a result of this, so it's going to be boss plus Webweavers. This is an almost unwinnable position from Cloud9. They need a miracle here to come back.
Defending a boss isn't too bad when you have the Hunter's Mark, but they need some time. They need to get 20, and mYinsanity are not giving that to them. That's exactly what they need to do.
Look at this. Webweavers have descended now. They're going to push these lanes. The top lane especially is the problem lane. They're looking to get this keep here. Still no 20 for Cloud9. They can't even split in lanes right now because of all the immense pressure being put on this top lane.
There goes Blumby with the power slide. Dark Mach immediately follows. Bone Prison on Greymane, but they've kept them all alive through that initial push. Here goes Blumby, and the Lunar Flare stops the mosh pit.
Big shields going on to everybody here as well. King Caffeine really trying to turn this fight around. He was in perfect position, blocking everyone there. At the end, they re-engaged onto him, but no kills on either side. The boss is basically dead, but the Web Weavers continue to push. The top keep is down, and they can rotate into mid and try to do a little bit more damage on those towers as well. And finally, Cloud9 will hit 20. They will finally have their Storm talents.
That was a massive, it was a massive defense for Cloud9 to defend that 19 versus 20 and not lose anybody, because they could have lost the entire game there.
Oh, as soon as they get that, King Caffeine jumps in. He barely survives here. A great shield there by Dunk Train to keep them alive. Dark Mach jumps in, doesn't get a root there. Very, very close. The level 20's up. Don't forget, Epic Mount is online here, as well as Rewind. So much more ability to like slow, stun, keep these members alive.
Right, and they have Hunter's Swiftness too. So if they're going in with the Starfall, or with the Shadow Stalk, once they get that big potential fly in from the Falstad and slow them down, they can collapse very quickly on the rest of the team. Cloud9 not out of this now. They have the Storm talents. Their lanes are suffering. If they ever lose the team fight, they will lose the game now, but they're still in it.
They're still in it. They absolutely can come back. Another turn in here for mYinsanity. Not going to be even half gems in yet. Cloud9 just kind of sitting back, waiting for that opportunity. They want to just take one big fight. Blumby moving in here. And uh-oh, here comes Blumby up at the front. It looks like he doesn't have Mosh yet, but a big kill onto K1 Pro already.
K1 Pro is trying to barrel roll away and even flies back to his team, but without Greymane, this is getting scary. 53 seconds until he will be back. mYinsanity trying to find the one or two more people they need to end this game.
I'm sorry, I said K1 Pro earlier. As it turns out, Falstad is not dead, but this is a big, big push here with Bruisers now going into this keep. Blumby dashes in again. Dunk Train's going to have to use his ability to escape here. And now Mosh Pit is available, Ancestral is available. Another keep is dead, and Cloud9 is just taking beating after beating. mYinsanity now going to rotate down and take the second Bruiser camp.
Losing Greymane enabled mYinsanity to get that second keep, and they know that they can put the pressure onto this bottom lane too. There's still 15 seconds until Greymane is back. They're clearing out the lanes too. They're getting those gems wherever they can to try to get a Web Weaver phase so they can finish this game and get a chance at taking out E-Star.
Very, very important here for Cloud9 to basically escape all the initiates that mYinsanity has. They have like so many. They even have Disintegrate with Temporal Flux for slows. There's Mosh Pit. Ancestral can allow Blumby to dive in and even do a riskier Mosh Pit attempt. And of course, everything that Kerrigan can do is an initiate essentially. So you really have to kind of sit back and defend, and that's why they're kind of being choked out here despite the fact that they have a good comp. They don't have a lot of initiate, and their lanes are always pushed because they're two keeps down.
Right, and the Greymane, it's struggling to be able to have Greymane do what he does best, because anytime he tries to go into the Worgen form and get that 40% increased attack damage, he gets so punished for it.
Oh man, getting so close to these turn-ins. mYinsanity just wants to finish the game with a Web Weaver push. They're just basically kind of turtling, getting gems. They're farming for the win. They want that final objective push. And even though this is one of the weaker objectives on this in the game, it still may end the game for them here. They're still up in levels as well, so they have a slight scaling advantage here.
Right, and it's 25 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
These objectives scale and become stronger later and later into the game, and so we're getting to that point at 25 minutes between these two teams.
And mYinsanity does not need to force a fight. They could just sit back, farm more gems. They look like they want to force a fight anyways, forcing that dimensional shift to be used as well here. Okay, it looks like Cloud9 is going to try to take this fight. They've had enough. They want the gem farming to continue.
There's the aggressive fly. Do we see the mighty gust? There it is, but nobody down yet. But as I say that, Hasuwabs is taken out. They knew they needed to go after the Li Ming. Nurok now in trouble as King Caffeine jumps onto him. Blumby uses the mosh pit to stop it, but it's a little bit too late to save the lives of his teammate.
Dark Mach on the retreat here, trying to escape as well. Dunk Train going to come up here. They tries to go for the force wall. Blumby does get caught behind that wall, but should be fine. And, you know, this is the, like I said before, kind of Cloud9 has to take many, many, many team fights in order to come back in this game. They have enough for a turn-in, but all of their lanes are pushed, with the exception of the top lane, which is about even. turning in here will give them a lot more relief of the pressure that's on their core constantly from the top and the mid lanes. And maybe they might actually be able to start taking down some of the walls here for mYinsanity.
K1 Pro has 30 gems lying in wait to try to get Darkmok. They can get some more kills. They could get even a bigger advantage with the boss as well.
A huge gust coming down. They're going to pick off Darkmok, and Splendor's in trouble as well. There's no way out. And this is going to be 2 more kills here for Cloud9. The comeback, it begins, Gilly.
It does begin right here because just as the other 2 who died came back out of that very long respawn timers, the 2 more go down, and that is it for Cloud9. They're going to start the boss, so and as well get the turn in, so they can finally get the pressure off of those lanes, especially in mid and then top, where those catapults have been pushing for so long.
Oh, this game starts to look very, very winnable for Cloud9. It's all K1 Pro's plays that actually got those second 2 kills there. A very big gust, of course, the big boomerang as well going down, doing that damage. He was just lying in wait. You don't always expect a mage Falstad to be hiding in there. But with these blue web weavers coming up, Cloud9's going to try to push these waves off of their core and top and mid, and maybe get a little bit done otherwise on mYinsanity's side in the bot lane. The boss coming up here as well, of course, going to take out this last fort.
I love how Cloud9 took that calculated risk. We know mYinsanity is coming out. They want to try to stop this turn-in. They want to try to keep us from getting away back into this game. So once they noticed that, they said, if we can get more, we can get not only a turn-in, but the boss that's going to be far more value. And they were able to do that, just that. And now, with this boss taking out towers, they could be looking at getting a keep down on mYinsanity's base.
Absolutely reasonable. K1 Pro cleans that mid push off the core and will be able to come in. Not even going to fly in, just going to walk across on Siegfried, fly across on his little griffin there. Down goes top keep. So this is the first big win for Cloud9. If they get a pick or 2 here, they could actually end the game. It's going to be tough though versus this comp, especially when you got things like Bone Spear here.
Good. King Caffeine's looking for it, throwing out stuns. Avatar starts, and they want core. They want to bring it to game number 3. Mighty Gust pushes people back. Bone Prison into a big mosh pit, but it gets stopped.
The stop on the mosh pit is so huge here. K1 Pro coming up to the front. They're going onto the core here. It's down to 60%. They're targeting it down, and I don't think mYinsanity can stop the push. It looks like Cloud9 is going to force a game 3, and what a crazy comeback they had here, Gilly.
Dump train, dump train!
1 health left, but he does get it there!
Oh my gosh!
So close!
MVP Tassadar! And wow, that came down to the wire. Arthalon with the face palms. But they did it. They brought it back to game 3, especially after being so down and out in that fight.
That was so scary there for a moment. I was so sure they had it, but they did finish it off there. And we are going to that 3rd game, which means we're actually going to Towers of Doom. So this is going to be a map that's very unique. It's so different from the other maps. This was such a great game. So much patience from Cloud9 on their deathbed multiple times, just barely able to survive, fighting back time after time, stopping these pushes. And I think K1 Pro is really who won it for them in the end.
Yeah, Falstad has been known for his Falstad play time and again, but losing fight after fight, and especially because of the strong engagement tools that mYinsanity had between the skeletal mages and Kerrigan. But finally, I really think it came down to that fight, and mYinsanity being maybe a little too aggressive. They had already lost a couple of members. They could eat a Webweaver phase. And instead, they took the boss as well as the Webweaver phase, and that was so strong for Cloud9. They got the kills they needed to be able to win the game.
Yeah, and they just kind of safely pushed there at the end. And when you have that much scaling on the boss, plus Webweavers, you just essentially win the game no matter what comp you're with, as long as you don't get picked off. And then mYinsanity, Bloomby was looking for picks, and while they were kind of walking towards the core, they made sure they locked down Bloomby as many times as possible. They stopped the mosh. If that mosh had gone off, that would have actually been a solid defense for mYinsanity.
That probably would have been game the other way,
yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to a little bit later on where we actually see that K1 Pro pick off, and we see those 2 kills. This is the first 2 kills they get actually here, as Nurok does die. Splinter has to run away. Oh, I guess we're not going to see that part. But that part was key, and that was K1 Pro winning this dunk train, finishing things off there in the end, using rewind to use that second dimensional shift, and finishing off the game there. So we're going to game 3. It's been very close this series. I think both games were close. The second game especially, a really nice comeback from Cloud9. Who do you think is going to take this third game?
Towers of Doom. Cloud9 need to be able to sense what is up mYinsanity's sleeve. It's their map choice, and of course, the Lost Vikings are going to be on their mind.
Oh, absolutely. They did ban them in the first game, which I think was a really smart ban, and we'll see if they end up doing that again here. This map also, we're going to have a video of it in a moment, but this map is really the only map I can think of that has no real EXP given to the objective. It just does damage to the core, and you can never recover your core health. Mule doesn't work on it. You can't kill the core with abilities. You can't actually attack it directly. So decision making here is important. Sometimes you have to let those altars go. You have to let that damage go, and as a result, you get further ahead in EXP. And heroes like Lost Vikings can be very good at actually getting that extra EXP. It's almost like, as I talk to Artosis about this all the time in Super League, it almost feels like Hearthstone. You never want to, Frostbolt face on turn 2 because, the only health that matters is when you're about to get lethal, when you're about to get to the end. So you want to get ahead in EXP, get as much damage done as you can to the core while you're going through that phase, but you don't actually want to super overcommit to those altars and actually lose team fights and get behind, because if you're ahead 8, 10 health on the core, it's not going to win you the game.
Right. There's always the potential to come back on Towers of Doom. But as you get into the later stages, if you've lost a lot of the core health, the fact that you get into those triple altar spawn phases, still, it makes it a lot more difficult for you. If you're just way far behind, you have to take riskier fights in order to make sure that you aren't going to lose the game on the core. But I think as long as Cloud9 can sense what mYinsanity is going to do, the trick up their sleeve for this battleground, I think with this momentum, Cloud9 will be able to clinch the victory.
Just some other things to note about this map. The Merc camps, the Pumpkin Men, as Artosis and I like to call them, are very powerful. If they actually reach the core, they will just simply do damage to it, just like it's a normal shot from the altar. The boss will also do direct damage to the core. There's no pushing involved with these Mercs. They just push down the towers, which you will take control of if you kill them, and then they do direct damage to the core. You can't attack it directly. Just to make that very clear.
Very, very clear. Well, we are in the draft for game number 3, and Cloud9 are banning Greymane.
Yep, and then the Falstad ban from mYinsanity. A lot of respect to K1 Pro, I think, with that ban. He really turned that last game around. Lost Vikings, first pick by Cloud9.
Oh my goodness. Bringing one of mYinsanity's strategies to them on Towers of Doom. I wondered if this was going to be what happened by banning the Greymane, not first banning the Lost Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, Greymane obviously a very powerful poke, but when I saw the Falstad ban and Haswab's face is up here on screen, my first thought was, oh, he wants it, but he's not going to have it. Cloud9 takes it away. Zeratul is first pick for mYinsanity, and he may be a Viking hunter a little bit in this game, and then Li-Ming is chosen as well. Zeratul, one of the answers to Li-Ming on this map, so very smart choice. She's also great at denying. I
love that you mentioned that Zeratul is the Viking hunter, because that's going to be the job of the Zeratul player this game. Just if you can go to a lane, take out a Viking, then the nice thing is the 4-man, whatever is happening, if it's a push on structures, if it's a roam to try to get ganks, gets a little bit weaker because they have to send somebody to that lane to soak it.
Murden picked up here again. King Cat being getting Murden all the time, actually. They're just kind of allowing that to happen, and he's been doing very well, and his positioning is incredible. So many fights they would have lost had he not just gotten in the front of things, body blocked, and also blocked abilities while using his avatar. Thrall being chosen as well here for a lot of sundering potential, which is really good versus squishy heroes like Li-Ming. And they have so much push potential with this, and they could even have Thrall soul lane if they want Vikings to be doing more Merc stuff on this map. Really a lot of possibilities for Vikings on this map. They're just so versatile.
The fact that mercenary camps can allow you to put damage on the core is always a consideration for teams, and a lot of times you even, I've seen a game where you can escort them for the win. If you can escort them all the way to the core, or to that line, then they turn into shots on the core.
That's right. Tyrande here banned for mYinsanity. And Cloud9, they could ban a tank here, with only Zeratul and Li-Ming on the board. Curious to see what mYinsanity would even want to pick as a tank here, to be honest.
With the Zeratul Void Prison, I would think ETC.
Yeah, I'm thinking so as well. ETC ban would be smart here. Johanna, not so good yet this early in the draft to know what she would even really serve a role as here. And ETC has just been more consistently the tank that Bloomby likes to play, just like last game.
Johanna hasn't really been a priority for teams. It's
Yeah.
almost like if it's not Murden or ETC, then Tyrael is the new thing.
Yeah, especially for the Asian teams. And then when you look at how we have seen Leoric sneak in a few times, it's been successful here and there, but it's definitely not what people are prioritizing. It's very map specific. I think this is one of Leoric's weakest maps, even though he can do a lot of harassment to like slow the altars. I think overall he's a low impact here.
Cloud9, I know them for taking all the time they need in drafts, nearly burning through their extra time on this ban. What do they want to do? It's so important. mYinsanity has those pocket strategies. Have they been able to spot it? ETC will be the what they take out.
So they went for, they agreed with us. They went for that one being the safe one. Now, mYinsanity doesn't have a tank or a support yet here. They could look for something like a Sonya for a solo laner. They already have Zeratul who can harass the Vikings, and if you put Sonya in a lane as well, it's always going to force that Viking to be kind of at the back. They really are trying to figure out as well what Cloud9 is going to build beyond Thrall and Murden. How much roaming are they going to do? Kerrigan is even something that we've seen with roam comps with Lice Vikings, and she's gained a lot of popularity in this tournament alone. So something they will have to keep in mind. They want to build a support that can deal with that roaming, because that's a lot of the time what you see.
Are you suggesting 2 Kerrigans in 1 Match Wolf?
Yeah, I'm suggesting that.
That would be hype. I would be all for that for Cloud9.
Stitches coming in here. Okay, that's going to be the tank that they pick up with the ETC ban. And they could leave their support for last and take Sonya here. Would not really mind it, to be honest. Sonya's going to be able to push those lanes, keep them cleared. And pushing lanes isn't that important solo on this map, of course, but if you do kill the tower, it becomes yours. You do more damage when you channel. But they're going to take the support and leave that last pick for kind of figuring out, again, what Cloud9 is going to lock in as their 4th and 5th picks.
I wonder if they would Sylvanas.
You know what? We have seen that before, actually. We saw that from mYinsanity in Katowice, in fact. So definitely something we could see.
As a counter
Yeah.
to the pressure of the Lost Vikings. But Vala is going to be more damage for Cloud9. And finally, 1 support. And Rhaegar is still available. I think a lot of teams like playing Rhaegar with Lost Vikings with the chain heals.
Yeah, the chain heals, of course, can keep everybody alive.
Maybe.
I think Malfurion is not very powerful here. And when you look at Kharazim, he could work. Well, there's not a lot of targets for 7-side strike even. I think Rhaegar is just the clear better choice. And that's what they're going to pick up here. For mYinsanity, the Sylvanas pick is really interesting. It's very aggressive, and I do like it. It allows you to push so much, and if you're actually ahead and you want to escort those pumpkins to actually get those Merc kills on the core, she's a great hero for that as well.
Also, Wailing Arrow, never a bad hero to have. They'll have it for the follow-up from Void Prison too, keeping people from getting away.
Yeah, you can stop Avatar and blow up a Muradin. You can stop the Longboat raid as well. So there's a lot of silence targets. There's always a lot of silence targets in every game, but in this game, it's something that makes sense with her pushing power. 25 seconds to go on this. They're really thinking about it, and I like Sylvanas. I like Sonya. Those are the 2 heroes I'd like to see.
Sylvanas and Sonya. Sonya would be great with the Divine Shield.
Zagara is still available as well, something that they could use for a little bit more solo lane pressure. Get a lot of range if you upgrade her, and she can poke, do that extra damage. They're going to take Zul, and this is what I'd pick in Hero League, but I didn't expect them to take him here. You can overwhelm the Vikings. Yeah, they can overwhelm the Vikings as well with Zul.
Yeah, sort of the same strategy. Either way, just a hero who is a good laning hero and the ability to counter the pressure that the Vikings will be providing.
Yeah, a hero like Blizzard would call a specialist, I guess.
Yes.
That split push power. And we were really looking at all those, what could be the solo laners. Zul's going to be the choice. Which draft do you like better? I like mYinsanity's. I like they have Li Ming. I think she's great at poking. I think she can, do a lot of denies on those altars. Zeratul's always going to be looking for picks on those Vikings. They have that counter. And they have Zul to kind of push and overwhelm them.
And also, Vikings, it's a problem when they start dying to Li Ming because she gets resets on all of her abilities. But just for just for a little bit of diversity, I'll say I'm rooting for the Vikings. They're so good on Towers of Doom. We're going to see who takes it.
All right, let's jump into that last, third and final game. Europe versus North America. Loser is out, winner moves on. Over here to the left side of the map, it is Cloud9. K1 Pro is on Vala, Dunk Train on Rhaegar, iDream on Thrall, Caffeine on Muradin, and Arthlon playing the Vikings.
And mYinsanity in red, Blumby on Stitches, Nurok playing Zeratul or Zul, Haswab's on Li Ming, Splendor playing Uther, and we've got Zeratul will be played by Darkmok.
That's right. All right, we're gonna see number one Olaf's block. Not gonna see any bribes or anything like that on this map. That would be pretty aggressive. And I always keep in mind, like, there are several strategies with the Vikings. With the comp that Cloud9 has, I don't think this is necessarily going to be the roaming comp. They do have, of course, heals that are going to keep everybody healed up if they do roam.
Now the roaming is for sure happening for mYinsanity's side. Darkmok already finding his first victim in Olaf, but that block's going to help quite a bit there.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why he chose it, right? So he can actually have that top lane safe. Oh, trying to bait a gank here. I like this, but it's not gonna. He's not gonna fall for it. Darkmok knows what's up. Sees everybody is missing. And 4-man pressuring some of these Viking lanes can really put some siege damage on these towers. Li Ming is exceptionally good at that, of course, because she can just drop those orbs. Even with the nerf to her magic missile, she still does a lot of siege damage. And a Viking can't do anything about that. Yeah, he can soak, get that EXP, but he's not going to stop that structure damage.
Right, if anybody knows how to play versus the Lost Vikings on Towers of Doom, it's mYinsanity. That's one of their key heroes, their key strategies that they do, and it'll be up to Cloud9 to try to show that they can do it, despite the fact that mYinsanity knows it so well.
What's funny is mYinsanity, I mean, maybe one of Cloud9's like ideas here with this was to kind of roam and try to get some kills in the early game, but it's mYinsanity who's kind of just taking that idea and running with it. They're roaming all over the map. They've got so many globe talents as well to get globes in every lane and really build up their early health pools. And obviously Power Hungry is going to give a lot more damage to Li Ming, who's going to have so many resets whenever she kills a Viking. As you mentioned before, ooh, missed hook here. I'll be nearly grabbing that kill. They only have one kill on Eric so far, so nothing too crazy when it comes to the Vikings just yet. A big root goes down though.
Yep, Bone Prison on Dunk Train, but he is okay, and here's where the Vikings are going to shine. If Cloud9 can deny both of these from being grabbed, even if in the end mYinsanity do get them, the idea is to allow the Vikings time to split soak and get ahead in experience.
Yeah, we're starting to see that occur a little bit here in the mid lane. Arthlon's doing a lot there. The top lane is absorbing that soak as well. mYinsanity will push everyone, though, off of this altar. Splendor does get damaged, though, so he can't finish that channel.
Team Caffeine in the thick of the action, trying to deny it, but they lose Vala, and that stops them. A Bone Prison 2 in a second kill, and that stops. It negates any of the experience lead that they were getting from the Vikings.
That's right. That's just too much. 2 kills will do it for you. Arthlon even going to go and use Eric to poke and slow down Splendor here. Very aggressive deny attempts here. Darkmok's going to jump in on King Caffeine. He wants this kill. A defensive hook here used to try to zone him out, and King Caffeine will be killed. Really nice move there by Darkmok. I don't think King Caffeine expected him to go in that direction. You see Eric also over here on Arthlon on Eric try to deny this, and oh my god, Darkmok escapes. Dunk Train's going for it though, and he should be able to get this. Lightning shields himself.
Awesome, the hook doesn't hit him. Is he getting away?
Oh, he gets healed as well, and Dunk Train does not get the kill, and a huge commitment to that.
That was the ultimate commitment. You are correct. But that is great for mYinsanity. They got kills to even up the experience from having to be down in that bottom lane for a long time with the rest of the team. And now they're even in experience, which winning or against the Lost Vikings, you're doing very well.
Oh, iDream coming up here to try to do a little bit of action on Nurok, trying to do a little bit of that stun action, that root action, try to grab a kill. It's not going to happen. Yeah, mYinsanity is still slightly, maybe 1% behind in EXP, but Cloud9 is not getting that Viking EXP advantage that they're looking for.
Do get body blocks on Nurok, and the Bone Prison is Caffeine's like, okay, you can Bone Prison me here, I'm still going to be body blocking you. So at least they get the pick on Zul.
Yeah, very low is King Caffeine, but he still escapes. No worries there. On his way out, we'll actually just go home and tap. You see the Pumpkin Men are taken here. We haven't seen Zeratul really secure many kills. Oh, there, as soon as I say that, he gets a kill on the Lost Vikings.
He's like, I'm working on it, Wolf.
He didn't go Gathering Power, which means he's looking for more utility in bigger fights, more so than just trying to stack that up from Viking kills. And he knows that Arthalon is, of course, going to be a very careful Viking player, not going to be losing too many deaths to that.
And speaking of careful, Vala also does have the Hungering Arrow build, Siphoning Arrow and Puncturing Arrow. More of a duelist build. There go the Pumpkin Men to help destroy towers. And 2 tower pickups for mYinsanity, keeping up with this experience gain, which is oh so important.
And they're all in perfect position for the South Altar to spawn. It looks like they may even party bush here. King Caffeine does see them. Does get rooted. They're putting some damage off here. And Cap is so low, actually, before we go into this next fight, so that's painful for them here. They may actually just want to just delay as much as possible. He's dead here, so delaying is not even really an option anymore.
I really want to commend Nurok with his Zool play. The Bone Prisons have been so effective for their team in both of the games that they have had Zool, and because of that, they're going to pick up the next altar.
You know, it's like, the thing about these Bone Prisms, they're so relevant. It's not like you say, well, he always gets a squishy target, or he always gets, you know, he always sets up a gank. He just knows when he can lock down the hero, and then they get the picks, and it's always the one who's out of position just enough.
Yeah, making sure that even we were seeing them be used in the last game on Tassadar, even though they know they're not going to be able to get him, it forces them to use Dimensional Shift to be able to get away and make sure it's either you use the Dimensional Shift and you burn it, or you don't use it and we're going to be able to kill you.
Exactly. It's just wasting cooldowns here. Olaf does go down, another Zeratul kill in the top lane, and I mean, these sorts of things do add up. You do get EXP from killing a Viking. You also deny that Viking's EXP at the same time. So, you know, they're nearing level 10, which is going to be really, really important for this next altar that spawns. Loombi in good position here. King Caffeine just trying to slow everybody down with that second Thunderclap. Here comes Darkmok. Eric is dead as well.
That was the best Viking to focus to. Bone Prison is hitting Dunk Train, and with heroic abilities activated for mYinsanity, disintegrates Rhaegar.
That's right, and now Li Ming, of course, with Disintegrate is going to be so much more powerful. Every Viking she kills, she gets another Disintegrate. The only thing she has to worry about is mana. Oh wait, no, never mind. She has Power Hungry. She's Li Ming. She doesn't have to worry about mana ever.
Hook is good. The Hammer of Justice and the Void Prison to stop anybody from helping King Caffeine, and the Poison Nova thrown out even from Zool. Muradin is going to go down, but the Rain of Vengeance trying to maybe help them get a kill.
Nurok does escape, though. Eric is killed once more here as well, and they will capture the first fort here. So 5-3 right now for this next altar to spawn. And Arthalon just trying to get vision of that right now. In fact, getting vision of both to see how mYinsanity wants to approach this. mYinsanity is actually going to hearth back and come with full mana. So I don't think they're going to be able to get both here, but they will at least be able to get one and poke at the other.
Play again is the choice of Heroic for the Lost Vikings. Chain Lightning stops Darkmok from grabbing news, and that is a hook into another Bone Prison for iDream, and Ancestral Healing is forced out.
Ancestral Healing here, really, really nice. iDream getting very low, and he will get blown up. Blumby also doing a great Heroic here, slowing and doing so much damage up at the front, and that is going to be the first channel here. It's Haswabs who gets it on the right side. And 5-3 for damage on this altar. A big win for mYinsanity. Looks like they may grab Olaf here as well. Just going to use play again and get out of there.
Yeah, and the fact that they had 4 of the bell towers meant that there was a lot more shots that went to mYinsanity, even though they traded out the altar. So 33-27, as you talked about before this game started. Because of the fact that there's no way to just be able to win a team fight and then take out the core with your heroes, there is always that potential to come back. But if they keep losing out on these, if they get to the point where they are very low on cores, then they have to start making some riskier moves.
When you look at other maps, when you look at the objectives, you look at, say, Dragon Knight or Spider Queen, you have these bosses pushing the lane, or you have structural damage being done, say, on Sky Temple. On this map, the objective isn't what gives you vision or pressure. It's actually just killing the structures themselves, because it forces a big rotation to deal with that, or they're going to take more and more damage from every altar. It also gives vision. It keeps the lane pushed like indefinitely. It's like the fort is a mini keep and how much effectiveness it gives, plus it gives you more damage to the core. So killing the structures on this map when you get ahead in these team fights is so important.
Plus, if you are able to get a bell tower because they are so important, then you know where your opponents are going to be. They have to take them back, and you can go into another lane and be able to get that. So once you get that lead in those bell towers, it's very difficult for your opponents to ever bring it back from there.
I wonder if Cloud9 will try to take a team fight right now. We didn't talk about it. We did see basically a very defensive Darkmont Void Prison used there, so he doesn't have that up for 70 more seconds. And that's an opportunity for Cloud9 to take a fight. They just got 13 as well. I think this might be the altar they want to fight over.
They are rotating down. We'll see if all of the Vikings actually want to do so too, or if they're going to continue with the strategy of just delaying for a while. Eventually, though, they have to start getting these shrines if they want to win the game.
Oh, big slow and stun going down on to blumby here. He just gets healed up. Again, no Void Prison. He does not have that in his arsenal here. Arthalon going to lose Eric, though, it looks like. There's a jump on. Oh, Dunk Train does save him.
But they have to use Avatar on King Caffeine. The Disintegrate does not take him out. They're still in the fight over this, and meanwhile, 2 of the Vikings are soaking mid and top, trying to come back in the experience game.
Yeah, the longer they delay this, of course, the further ahead they're going to get in that EXP, or the more value they're going to get. They're still behind, but they're catching up rapidly here. A channel by Arthalon. It looks like with all the zoning for King Caffeine, he will get it. It's only 3 missiles, but still a very small victory here for Cloud9, plus the EXP they gained in the soak from the Vikings.
Yeah, both of the zoning from King Caffeine and from iDream on Nurok was really good, and that means that they were able to finally get an altar. They're only 3 hit points behind on their cores. They're caught back up basically in experience 2, and as they start to keep those lanes more pushed, they can start to even take out the towers in front of the bell towers.
Yep. Arthalon going to be trying to run Olaf away here and escape with them. He will get ganked, and the funny thing about ganking a Viking is it's not as good as killing a normal hero, but it just relieves so much of that pressure, and when you do a multiple man gank like this on this map, you can actually push down a fort, and that gives you the extra bell towers, you like to call it. I guess they are technically bell towers. I call them forts because they're forts that are fancy, right? Yeah.
Right. Fancy forts.
Fancy forts, right. And so that kind of rotation is smart if you get the fort. In fact, Cloud9 realized this and moved back and denied it, and they're still getting that extra soak. They're actually almost even in EXP right now.
Right, that was the situation that mYinsanity wanted to find. They knew that everyone was responding to the bottom bell tower, and so they went to the top to take it out, but it wasn't quite there. So the defense from Cloud9 bringing them back into a situation where they weren't just playing ring around the rosy, I don't even know. Just going back and forth between the forts.
That's actually a really good way to put it. It is a game of ring around the rosy, essentially. All right, the tunnel's open here with this next altar, so if you hearth back, you can actually get back into the fight a lot faster. Arthalon actually going to run away here. He will lose Eric, it looks like. Oh man, he's committing. His team is pinging him back. He gets slowed here as well. Ouch. So much value from that Viking.
Just a few slingshot shots from Arthalon as Zeratul is making his way back out, but only one altar spawning in this section. 16 almost here from both teams. Going to be grabbed just slightly ahead by Cloud9.
All right, Blumby's going to go ahead and use his heroic, going up in fronting, biling, and this time they have a Void Prism. King Caffeine in good position here up at the front, zoning out a lot of the damage from mYinsanity, and a good Sundering hits too.
And they didn't get a lot with that Void Prison as well, and they realized this. They had used Ancestral Healing on iDream though, as the Putrid Bile was slowing him down. So that is a big cooldown between both, I guess, the Sundering and the Avatar, and especially the Ancestral Healing.
Yeah, still the control of this zone, this altar by mYinsanity, 16-16. But Cloud9 is starting to get ahead in EXP, and they're delaying and trading efficiently, basically 4v5. And this is a big problem for mYinsanity. They can't allow this to continue to happen.
Yeah, this is the best situation that you want to be in, is when there is only that one altar. Divine Shield keeps Zeratul alive, and that's absolutely necessary with the Rain of Vengeance that came out. But to Disintegrate zoning away the members of Cloud9, but still they get the altar.
Yeah, they do get the altar. And it's slow and steady wins the race here for Cloud9. They're basically just kind of delaying, get ahead in ESP. And as soon as mYinsanity starts moving away, one of the Vikings runs into channels. And they're catching up when it comes to core health. Arthalon's taking these Pumpkin Men up in the top lane. And mYinsanity finds himself now behind in EXP despite the 9-1 kill score. And their slight, objectively they had for a long time in this game. It's just that objectives don't matter as much as EXP.
There is a double blood for Cloud9 on Thrall and Vala. And they can try to use that to be able to burn somebody down. Also, a lot of self-sustain if they can use that on the Stitches. But the push coming in as they lose Olaf is they're going for the fight.
Yeah, there they are. A big Sundering goes down, but it's not going to be enough. There's no follow-up. Nurok taking a lot of damage there from the arrows as well, but disengages. A wasted bile here, not the longest cooldown in the game, but it does allow them to disengage. Looks like we're going to see, oh, just barely saves him there with play again. That kill at the top, thought was going to happen. And this game is very close, but I feel like Cloud9, the EXP lead that they got and that, you know, the push for 20 is going to lose value over time. I think the team fight comp that mYinsanity has is better if they can hit those Void Prisons and hit those Poison Novas.
Also, once they get to 20, with looking at what Zul has picked up with Decrepify for the Spectral side, as well as the Flowing Wounds, which reduces the cooldown of it by 4 seconds if you hit a hero, I think they're likely going to go for Mortal Wound, which is going to potentially eat up a lot of the healing that comes from Ancestral Healing.
Yeah, it's just going to sabotage the heal potential there. Now, the 2 altars have spawned here. Eric is going to come down to try to go to the bot. Darkmok is looking for him here. Ping of danger down there as well, as they know what's up. Blumby very aggressive here. Bile is off cooldown, so he can use it to start the engage.
Hasn't used it yet, but there he goes with the slows and the movement speed bonus. Meanwhile, they're just delaying, as Darkmok is going to grab the altar in the bottom.
That's right, and now we can actually come back up, and it's going to be even harder for Cloud9 to actually take this altar as well. Without, you know, the longboat raid, they're not going to have much team fight presence in these fights. Those Vikings. Big Poison Nova goes down as well, and there's the hook on iDream. He does get Ancestraled.
He does, and Zul is out. Darkmok in a tough spot, but they have Divine Shield, and he's trying to juke them a bit as the rest of the team is moving back further too. Hazuop's trying to help Lumpy get away, but with a great Rain of Vengeance, it won't be able to get it.
Ooh, Dunk Train going for Darkmok here as well. Going to be tough, actually. They're going to need King Caffeine, but there's the massive slow, and here comes King Caffeine. He gets the Stormbolt, and that will be another kill here. So 3 kills and the channel. They're actually ahead now, 1 health on their core, and they're much closer to 20, which sets up the next few altar fights. And they're even going to grab Boss off of this as well, so much more extra damage towards that core.
More damage, and all the while, Vikings in the lane in bottom, and they're very close to Storm Talons as these shots start to go onto the red core, and that's going to take it down below the 20 range.
Very, very low now. 5 ahead is Cloud9, so flexible in every way, with the Vikings securing them 20 first as well. They have like nothing to lose in the next fight. They can play aggressive or be passive. They don't have to force anything to happen. They can even do multiple man rotations. You can see they're actually going to go ahead and steal these mercs. They're 2 levels ahead, and they have those important storm talents. They've got Rewind up here, as well as bolts for both Thrall and Vala. So much safety.
Fury of the Storm, even for the Lost Vikings. And look at this aggression from Caffeine and Dream. They know that they're 20. They kill the Uther.
Yep, and with these Pumpkin Men pushing down the lane, they're going to easily get this fort as well. And that is going to be basically free. I mean, no way for them to deny this with Uther being dead. Looks like it's not going to be killed by them, but will perhaps be killed by those minions, as something crazy is happening behind us, killing the other main stage. Blumby actually getting caught here, and that's pretty crazy. He's going to Bile here and try to escape. A defensive Void Prison is used here for Darkmok, and Blumby will escape. A lot of heroic potential wasted there.
They got an altar as well, and now with the Vikings, there's only 6 seconds until the next altar phase and 20 seconds until Uther is back up to help this. This is getting pretty dire for mYinsanity.
And they could channel 2 at once, and that's actually so much damage. That's 10 damage here. Onto those swords, they also delay Nurok. Here comes the first 5, and there's the second. So now down to 8 health here is mYinsanity. If they keep 5, that's going to be just, you know, so close, so easy to do. In fact, they're going to get the 3rd altar as well.
They don't have 20, and they don't have Zeratul as he gets taken out. A hook, but it's on Baylog. They're fine with that hook.
Yeah, they're totally fine with that. Dunk Train's going to set up the next channel. 5 more damage done. mYinsanity is in lethal range of these altars, and Cloud9 is about to earn their way in that final match of this group if mYinsanity can't make a miracle happen right here, right now.
That one altar phase changed everything, from it being a relatively close game to all of a sudden so much in Cloud9's favor. They have a lot of options. It's only 3 shots. They can do the game where they go back and forth between the bell towers and take out something there, and make it more difficult for mYinsanity to be able to get back out in the next altar phase. They can try to escort if they do that too, or even just try to get all of the bell towers down at once.
I think mYinsanity has to win a team fight before the next altar, and they're going to try to go for it now. Bloomy, though, goes in alone. It doesn't have much backup. Nurok comes in to try to help him out. Splendor is very low, and here comes Arthon, actually putting a lot of damage off for the first time with those Vikings in this game. Huge Void Prison, though. This is their opportunity. And there's no follow-up.
Yeah, it's just a Void Prism where they have to get back away, and Splinter is not going to even be able to get to his team. Stitch is eliminated. Now, the great thing about Uther, at least being the one who gets taken out, is he does have redemption. He will be back, but still having to use Void Prison in a defensive position.
Yeah, and when you're on 3 health and any altar will end the game, Lost Vikings are your worst enemy. You have 3 people who can channel. You have 7 heroes on the enemy team that can channel. Darkmok is going to be killed here as well, and that's essentially game. 3 altars spawn in 30 seconds. There are 7 people who can channel. How can they stop with 3 members? 7 people who can channel. I don't think it's possible, Gilly. I think Cloud9 has done this.
I think you're right, Wolf. They're getting into position. The GGs come out from mYinsanity. And even though they won the first game and Cloud9 was put into a position where they had to win both, they proved they could do it, and they get a shot at taking out E-Star.
Very well played here by Cloud9, using the Vikings to great effect, and it's got to be feeling very rewarding. Hasselhoff is one of the most famous Vikings players in the world, in fact, and just taking that pick away from him and destroying his team with the Lost Vikings. It's got to be a pretty bad feeling for mYinsanity. They had a good run in this tournament. Cloud9 dropping down to this loser match. Big upset. A lot of people thought Cloud9 was going to beat China. You know, there's like different opinions. Like I was pretty confident China was going to win, but most American fans were saying, no, Cloud9's got this. They had a weak performance when they were in China, but they were living in a foreign country, etc. This time they've got cool drafts. They're going to take this. And people were worried about that. Then they lost the first game. And it feels almost like a Cinderella story that they were down in the losers bracket. They were 0-1, and they fought their way back in this third game with Lost Vikings, a hero that mYinsanity is more familiar with.
That's the thing about going to Towers of Doom and wanting to play Lost Vikings, is if you're the team that chooses to bring your opponents to that battleground, you're going to be second pick. And Cloud9 took full advantage of that with that first pick on Vikings.
That was really, really smart. We're going to take a closer look at some of the recap of this game. The Viking soak was real, and the channel potential they had was awesome. I have to say, Darkmok did a great job of going around the map, harassing the Vikings, making it a bit tougher for them. And then in the early game, it looked like the Viking soak wasn't giving Cloud9 a massive advantage. But the longer the game went on, the more altars that started spawning, that value increased for the Vikings.
Yeah, that value increased, and also as there were more, the Vikings were able to push just a little more and a little more, then they started taking out towers. Then they were threatening the bell towers where they weren't before, and mYinsanity didn't have to worry about them, but Cloud9 played the patient game so well, even being down a lot of kills in that early game.
Really impressive play by Cloud9. mYinsanity giving them a run for their money. And I feel like a lot of people were taking a look at mYinsanity's performance at Katowice, saying they were one of the weaker teams. A lot of European fans saying, you know, they had a lucky run to the bracket. But I looked at them, I was like, they're pretty strong. But they were the underdogs here, and they gave Cloud9 a really hard time.
They did give them a hard time, but Cloud9 has had E-Star on their mind for a long time. We had Dunk Train on my podcast, and he said, we want a shot at being able to beat E-Star, who defeated them in the second season of Gold League. So now they finally get that chance.
Now they do. They lost to EDG, but they're going to have that rematch from the China series, and this is going to be really, really exciting. It's going to be the final match of this group. Cloud9 has earned it. In the losers match, losing to EDG, going 0-1 to mYinsanity, bringing it back on Tomb of the Spider Queen, then going into Towers of Doom. They didn't make it work with that Artanis pick, but after that, things seemed like smooth sailing in this best of 3.
Right, and they defeated the Kerrigan on Tomb of the Spider Queen, her best battleground, and they basically took a card out of the playbook of mYinsanity by grabbing those Lost Vikings. And here we can see the result of Group A as they stand.
Yeah, you and GroupB just cast that China versus China group finals,
oh,
and
man.
EDG got out in first place. Big upset there. And now it's Cloud9 that goes up against them in Group B. MVP Black took first. Dignitas was able to take the series back. This is the first I've heard of it. So exciting for Europe here, even though mYinsanity lost. Dignitas lives on.
Yes.
And they will rematch TNL in Group B's finals.
They will rematch TNL. Hopefully, they're able to be able to pull some more tricks out of their sleeve. But TNL looked very strong versus Team Dignitas. That was a 2-1 I believe, though. And TNL is winning 1-0 here, so it's up to Team Dignitas to bring it back once again.
That it is. Well, it's been really fun casting these games with you, Gilly.
You too, Wolf.
Be sure to check out both streams. I just want to highlight this again. When I was on the other stream, I was trying to hype this stream up. When I'm on this stream, I want to hype up the other stream, the Blues Hero stream. Go check out TNL there. My Korea boys. But that's going to do it for us for this match. We've got one more best of 3 on this stream. It's going to be that final match from the China group. We'll see you guys then.